Welcome to Lost Relation Chronicles.
My wife has been immersed in a special project for the past 4 months, where she's not only a team member but the lead, carrying the responsibility for its success. This project is crucial, aimed at saving her company, Winslow Enterprises, but I don't know much about the specifics. The demands of this role have made the last few months challenging, with Angela working long hours. It's essential, both to her and to the company's future. Winslow Enterprises might not survive if this project fails. Angela has a bachelor's degree from Albright and an MBA from Wharton. She's definitely the academic one in our family. I went straight into work as an auto body technician after high school, and after 21 years, I'm still in the same field. I enjoy the work, and the pay's been good. It supported Angela's education and helped us raise our 2 kids. While we didn't live extravagantly, we managed. Now that the kids have moved out, and with both our incomes, we're pretty comfortable financially. Angela and I got married at 18, and within a few months, she was pregnant. For the first few years, we lived with my parents, who had an empty nest by then. It worked out well since my parents helped with childcare, giving Angela a chance to focus on her college studies. With the 2 pregnancies, her 4-year degree ended up taking 6 years to complete. It wasn't easy, but she did it. I always had work and could take on overtime whenever necessary. After Angela finished her degree at Wharton, we finally rented our own place. She had offers from several big firms, but most would have required us to move. Although I was open to the idea, Angela wanted to stay close to home, so she accepted a position at Winslow Enterprises. They paid her well, but what mattered most to her was the chance to take on responsibilities and move up the ranks. Angela was a hardworking, dedicated employee. The big presentation was scheduled for Thursday at the Radisson Hotel in Philadelphia. I took a few days off to be around, just in case she needed anything. In the end, though, my main role was having a meal ready for her whenever she got home. I didn't know much about her work and honestly didn't want to. High-level corporate stuff just didn't interest me. Executives from Europe, Asia, and South America were flying in for the event. The company was covering travel expenses and putting them up at the Radisson. From what Angela mentioned, this was a big financial stretch for the company. Her presentation wasn't just crucial for her. It was pivotal for the company and its 200-plus employees. Things seemed to be on track until Tuesday evening when Angela came home with a new gray power suit and a white blouse for the presentation. She meticulously laid everything she needed on the guest room bed. Normally, she was easygoing about the house, but when it came to work, she was precise. I noticed she packed some fancier underwear along with a few cocktail dresses for the social gatherings surrounding the event, though I didn't say anything. I've always steered clear of these types of functions, but I felt it was only right to offer to go with her if she wanted. She appreciated it, but assured me it wasn't necessary. All of the handouts and equipment that she needed had been carefully packed in the trunk of her Volvo before she left work. She was driving herself to make sure that everything got there in perfect shape. She had all day Wednesday to prepare, and all night Wednesday to socialize with the guests. Angela was so good at what she did that I felt it was better if I just stayed out of her way. Finally, she was done. She had checked and double-checked everything. All she needed now was a hot shower and a good night's sleep. I guess my mistake was checking things after Angela started her shower. I thought I would be helping, but it didn't turn out that way. I was rearranging things on the bed when a small white envelope fell out of the side pocket of her makeup case. The envelope came from a pharmacy, but not the one that we usually use. There were 10 pills inside. I had no idea what Previn was, and the instructions were confusing. Take 1 pill as necessary and take a second pill 12 hours later. I thought that they might be something that she got for anxiety or nerves, but the instructions didn't make sense. The prescription was in her name, and it was filled on Monday. I put the envelope back as she was finishing her shower. I decided I wanted to find out more about Previn before I mentioned it to her. Of course, if I did mention it, it would indicate that I was going through her stuff. I hate dilemmas. While Angela was getting ready for bed, I went to our home computer and punched up Previn. 10 minutes later, I joined my wife under the covers. I lay awake all night wondering why my wife had gotten a prescription for the morning after pill, especially since I had gotten a vasectomy 10 years ago. I was up early the next morning, but not rested. I took a long walk hoping that it would clear my head. Reluctantly, I started back to the house, afraid of what I might do or say when I arrived. My son, Josh, joined the Navy after high school and was in his first year stationed in San Diego. Our daughter, Gloria, married her childhood sweetheart last year and just moved to Dallas. It was just Angela and I. I missed the kids, but I was looking forward to growing old with her. She was the only woman I was ever interested in, and now it was all turning to crap. If Angela was having an affair, she hid it well. Of course, I never checked up on her. I never looked through her emails or cell phone calls. I had no reason to. There was no way I could have known about what she did at work or after work. I trusted her completely. Gary, where the hell were you? Do you want eggs or anything? No, just coffee. I didn't feel very talkative. What is wrong, honey? It will only be for 3 days. You can come if you want to, but you will be bored to death. No, I don't really want to go, but I hate leaving you alone. I worry when you are gone. That's sweet, dear, but everything will be fine. I am not planning on leaving the hotel the whole time. I'll spend most of today making sure the conference room is set up properly and this evening sweet talking our potential customers. Tomorrow, I will probably not even get a chance to pee. I'll get home as early as I can on Friday. I promise you a great weekend, if you know what I mean. That all sounds good, but you can't blame me for being worried. I am an auto body man, and I have a beautiful and successful wife. Sometimes I get the feeling that you might suddenly be interested in advancing your marriage situation as much as you are in advancing your career. Stop that, damn it, Gary. I have always respected what you do for a living, and I have never indicated otherwise. You raised 2 great kids and put me through college. You are a great husband, a great father, and a good provider, and don't you ever forget that. I finished my coffee as she cleared the table. Do you want me to call you? No, that's not a good idea. I will have my cell phone off, and I am going to turn off the room phone at night so I can get some sleep. I'll call you every chance I get. I helped her load the car. She was as fussy about that as she was everything else that was work-connected. It would take her 3 hours to get to the Radisson. At least she would miss the going-to-work traffic on the Schuylkill Expressway. I stood on the porch and watched as she left. I never asked her about the pills. I spent the rest of the morning on the porch. I don't ever remember worrying about anything as much as I did this. I felt little and insignificant. I felt out of my league. I was a small-town guy with a mediocre job and a successful wife. It was a mismatch. I should have seen it earlier. I felt stupid. The best suit that I had was a blue blazer and a pair of slacks. At least I had a few ties, even tough they were 10 years out of date. I just finished dressing when the landline phone rang. Hi, honey. I just wanted to let you know that I got here okay. You made good time. I assumed the traffic wasn't too bad. Everything was good. I'll call you later tonight. I have to go now. They are unloading the car for me. I am in room 714. Angela, I might be at my parents' or brother's place tonight. If you call me on the cell phone. Okay. Love you, got to go. I took my time driving into Philadelphia. I didn't go straight to the Radisson. I stopped and got a cheesesteak first. It was going to be a long night. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I parked in the garage area of the hotel and just waited. Sooner or later, I had to go into the hotel. I just couldn't figure out when to do it. The cell phone call helped me make up my mind. Gary, I just wanted to let you know that I am all settled in. I am going downstairs now to meet some of the people and have supper. You didn't forget anything, did you? No. Everything is perfect. I have it all laid out in my room for tomorrow. Do you need anything? No, Gary. Relax. I am going to turn off my phone. I'll call you tomorrow morning. Okay. Have fun. It's not fun, Gary. It's work. I didn't look too out of place. There were plenty of people in the lobby, the restaurant, and the conference rooms, so that I could stay inconspicuous. There was a nice little pamphlet that showed the layout of all the hotel facilities. I wandered into the different rooms and stayed around the edges, looking over the crowd. I had no idea what I would do if Angela saw me. I would figure that out if and when it happened. I found an events board that listed all the rooms that were being used by the different groups. Winslow Enterprises had no rooms reserved for Wednesday night. I thought that was interesting. Angela said she wasn't going to be leaving the hotel, but now I wasn't sure about that. There were 3 dining rooms: family, casual, and fine dining. Angela wasn't a big fan of dining with children, so I went to the casual dining room first. It only took 5 minutes to verify that she wasn't there. I had better luck in fine dining. It was a cozy, little booth tucked into a corner, the type of table that people reserve to have a private rendezvous. Angela had on her black, low-cut, cocktail dress with pearls. She looked elegant, and her escort looked like he was appreciating it. I knew a few of the people that Angela worked with, and he was not one of them. He was familiar, but I just couldn't place him. There were plenty of seats available, so I had no trouble getting one across the room. The tables had candles on them in the little glass holders. I blew my out and told the waiter that it bothered my glaucoma. I ordered a generic chicken entree and got comfortable. The waiter was filling my coffee cup for the 3rd time. Excuse me. The guy at that table across the room looks awfully familiar. Do you know who he is? Of course. That is Malcolm Eugene Foote. He is a city assemblyman. They expect him to run for Congress in the next few years. Is that his wife with him? She is very pretty. No, that is the first time that I've seen that one. He always uses that table for special ladies, if you know what I mean. I just smiled at him and asked for my check. I have never seen Angela so touchy-feely with a man before. She seemed to be hanging on his every word, as if he was a god or something. They weren't doing anything inappropriate, but it was not platonic or businesslike. They were finishing up their second bottle of wine when I left. Now I knew why she brought the fancy underwear. I got a comfortable seat in a corner of the lobby where I would be out of sight. 10 minutes later, they came out of the restaurant. She was holding his arm as they walked across the lobby to the elevator. I carefully watched the floor indicators. It was a good sign when it stopped on floor 3. That meant she did not take him to her room. It was a bad sign when it did not go to floor 7. That meant that she went to his room. Just in case I was wrong about something, I sat in the lobby and watched the elevator for an hour. People came and went, but Angela was not one of them. I got my empty suitcase out of the car and went to the check-in counter. Even though I could prove that I was her husband, I still had a difficult time getting a keycard. They relented after they called the room and nobody answered. Finally, I was on my way to room 714 with a keycard. At first, I didn't even turn on the light. I just sat in the dark room for more than an hour. It wasn't hard to convince myself that she was not coming back to the room. I packed all of her clothing and personal items first. I left nothing. I checked the packet of Previn, and there were still 10 pills in it. On the dresser, very carefully arranged, were all of the items that she needed for her presentation the next day. I started to fill my suitcase. There were 24, specially bound, promotional folders, and another 20 that were bound normally. They all went into the suitcase. The digital projector that she carefully loaded went in next, followed by her laptop computer. I took her purse and cell phone that she left in the room. All she had with her was a clutch bag and probably a tube of lipstick. I went over the room as carefully as she would have to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Once I was satisfied, I placed her car key and my wedding ring on the dresser. Other than those 2 items, the room was completely empty. The elevator went straight to the parking garage. I had no trouble with the 2 bags, and 20 minutes later I was on the expressway going north. It was after 3 in the morning. I had no idea that so much time passed. About 2 hours later my cell phone rang. Caller ID showed that it was a Radisson phone number. Gary? Yes? Where are you? I am about 20 minutes away from home. That's all I said. The other end of the line was quiet. There is an old saying that salesmen have: the first person to speak loses. After what seemed like an eternity, she spoke. Gary, I am sorry. She didn't ask about anything and just hung up the phone. I turned mine off. It was obvious that she was back in her room. Later that day, she would be expected to give a presentation that would save her company and win her a promotion. Later that day, I would be history. I put the suitcases in the garage attic space. Angela never went up there and wouldn't think of looking there for anything. Of course, at this point I am pretty sure that it didn't matter. I collected all of my clothing and personal items first. Most auto body men have their own tools. It is usually a requirement for the job. I stopped by the shop and loaded mine in the Subaru and picked up my final paycheck. By that time, the banks were open. I didn't have to do any fancy money and asset manipulations. I just took all the money out of the accounts. I had lunch in Hagerstown, Maryland. I had enough money to live on for several years, but knew that I would be looking for work very soon. Angela and I were alike in that way. We both liked to work. I was going to miss her. I killed a couple of hours at Luray Caverns and got a room near Wytheville. I had no idea what I was going to do. It was Saturday and I found myself sitting inside the Chattanooga Aquarium while watching nature, as I have never seen it before. I spent several hours just relaxing and decided that this was a good place. I bought an annual pass to the aquarium, and before supper time, I had a place to live. It was a mobile home in a ratty park, but it was furnished and it was cheap. I didn't need much. First thing Monday morning, I was going to get a job. A good body man can always find work, especially if he is willing to work under the table. I could stay low profile until it came time to renew my driver's license or car tags. I would worry about them when the time comes. I called Gloria on Sunday afternoon. I felt obligated to let her know what was going on, but Angela had already told her. She was pretty straight with Gloria about what happened. She said that she cheated, I caught her, I left, and she lost her job. I felt bad about her losing her job, but that's the price she had to pay. I asked Gloria to tell Josh what was going on the next time she talked with him. I also told her that I would call about once a month to check up on things. I didn't tell her where I was. I had a job by noon the next day. It was actually within walking distance of the trailer park, with a Waffle House about halfway. What more could a man want? I don't know how they handled the paperwork, but I got $20 an hour with no questions asked. I was happy and they were happy. I wouldn't even have to dip into my money stash that I had brought with me. About 2 months later, Gloria informed me that Angela had moved out of the house and was living with her parents. Gloria didn't know any more than that, but she was glad that I was settled and doing well. Josh called me from San Diego just to let me know that he was going on a cruise, a long one. He was an avionics technician on an aircraft carrier. He tried to explain what he actually did, but it was over my head. I never was much on technical stuff. Both of the kids were being careful not to say anything bad about their mother. I appreciated that. Things became routine after that. I would talk to Gloria at least weekly. Josh and I started a regular email correspondence. Gloria was talking to Angela on a regular basis, but Angela was not saying much about what she was doing or where she was. I never filed for divorce, and it appears that Angela didn't either. I got a Tennessee driver's license and tags on the Subaru. I started going to one of the local bars a couple of times a month and even got myself laid. A couple of the girls became regular nightly companions, one at a time. They were not looking for a commitment, and neither was I. It seemed to work out well for all of us. Life was good. It was long coming, but I was gradually forgetting about Angela. Eventually, the Subaru started to give me troubles. I had forgotten how much time had passed. The Outback had over 200,000 miles on it. I was thinking about that over a beer one day, when I realized it had been almost 5 years since I had left home. I was still in close communications with both of the kids. By now, Gloria had 2 children of her own and wanted me to come see them. Josh almost married a Thai girl, but backed out at the last minute. I usually worked 6 days a week and used Sunday to recover from Saturday night. There was no good reason for anyone to be banging on my trailer door at 6 in the morning on a Friday. Their rudeness was rewarded with a half-naked man opening the door. Day-old jockey shorts are nasty, and the lady at the door seemed to agree with me, according to her expression. She looked away, but her companion seemed unimpressed. Normally, I would have thrown on a pair of pants, but they annoyed me. We are looking for Gary Terrell. He was a little too proper for me. I don't know you. My name is David Simmons, and this is my wife, Marcia. We have a problem, and we're hoping that you could help us. I am sorry. I don't moonlight. If you need something done on your car, you will have to go by the shop. That got me a few blank stares and finally a reply. It has nothing to do with your work. It is more of a personal problem. Can we come in? The trailer looked like crap inside. I seldom had guests, so I rarely cleaned up. Even my lady friends insisted that we go to their places. Be my guest. Let me put some pants on quickly. I left the door open as I walked into the bedroom. Just to show them what a gracious host I was, I put a shirt on also. Do you want some coffee? It will only take about 10 minutes. I cleared some stuff off the sofa so that they could sit. There was no answer to the coffee question. We have a 4.5-year-old adopted daughter that needs a bone marrow transplant, and we were hoping that you could help us. We are willing to pay you if necessary. You want to buy my bone marrow? No. We want to use it, and we are willing to compensate you for any inconvenience. Sounds to me like you want to buy it. I was being a wise ass, and all of a sudden I realized that these people were serious. They had a real problem, and they were looking for help. I am sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Please continue. Our best chance of getting a match comes from an immediate family member. You are our best hope. Look, I don't want to sound like a smart ass, but I think you have the wrong guy. When was your daughter born? She will be 5 years old this July. Marcia Simmons spoke for the first time, and she sounded sincere. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I had a vasectomy over 15 years ago. I could not possibly be the father. Why was your name on the birth certificate? I can't answer that. Maybe you should ask her mother. That statement was met with silence. I was starting to feel sorry for these people, but I didn't know how to help them. What was the mother's name? Angela Louise Terrell. I was at a loss for words. I guess I shouldn't have taken those damn pills from her. Of course, then these people wouldn't have a daughter at all. I thought the grief was all over with, and here it comes again. Old memories of my wife having sex with that damn Philadelphia politician. I was starting to forget it all, and now it was back. Damn it. I understand now, and I apologize for my rudeness and insensitivity. I will do everything I can to help you. First, why can't Angela do the bone marrow transplant? Medically, she can't. She is not a match. She is the mother. She should be a match. Oh, she is a match, but she is too sick. The doctors refuse to even consider using her. Sick? How? She is dying from liver failure. She has less than 6 months to live. That doesn't make sense. She has always been in perfect health. Besides that, I don't believe that a bad liver would prevent her from donating bone marrow. The hospital will not accept her signature on the consent form. You mean that she is messed up in the head also? They both looked at me in silence. They knew the answer, but didn't want to say it. At this point, I didn't want to make them more uncomfortable than they were. 10 minutes ago, I didn't give a damn about them, and now I felt like I had to protect them and help them. How did that happen? Can either of my children help? It's possible, but we thought that you were our best hope. Why don't you go after the father? The real father? We thought that was you. We have no idea who else it could be. Angela didn't say a thing to us about another possible father. Marcia added in. Actually, she was not in good enough condition to explain anything. Most of the information we have came from the adoption agency. I needed some coffee, and I needed to take a leak. Excuse me a moment. I left my guests sitting there as I made a pot of coffee. It only took a few minutes. While it was brewing, I took a badly needed morning piss. I tried to be discreet. I had already embarrassed Marcia enough. Where do you people live? West Chester, Pennsylvania. Well, that was interesting. I'll make you a deal. If I tell you who your daughter's real father is, you have to promise me that you will pursue him relentlessly until you get what you want. What are you talking about? The man who fathered your daughter is a well-known politician in Pennsylvania. He will of course deny everything, and he probably will have you served with legal papers to stop your efforts. If you agree to push hard enough to get him to admit the child is his, you should be able to shame him into giving the bone marrow transplant. That is what you want, right? Yes, of course, but how do we do all this? I don't know. I am an auto body man. I beat on metal for a living. I guess your best approach would be to use TV, radio, and the newspapers. Politicians will do anything to avoid bad press. Do you have any friends that could help? Well, now both of them were smiling. I must have said something to give them hope. I think we can do that. Who the hell is he? Malcolm Eugene Foote. He is running for the U.S. Senate. I bet that he would do anything to avoid bad publicity. The coffee was done, but David and Marcia couldn't wait to get back home. Before they left, I told them how to contact Gloria and Josh, just in case they needed them. I was sure that they would help. I also made them tell me where Angela was. I would probably be in Pensacola before they made it back to Westchester. I got my haircut and bought a new shirt. Angela was a cheating bitch who ruined my life, but I still wanted to look good when I saw her. It was another trailer park, but this time it was a nice, new double-wide. Her Volvo was there with a flat tire and a broken windshield. The woman that answered the door was not Angela. She looked like she had been ridden hard and put away wet. She was at least 45, maybe 50, and must have had a hard life. The lack of makeup didn't help, and she just looked mean. I didn't get a chance to open my mouth. Damn it, if it isn't Gary Terrell. I never expected to see you here. I had to use the old line. You have me at a disadvantage. Sherry Hart. Come on in, sweetie. Can I get you a beer? No, but thank you. I am here to see Angela. Sherry was a big girl in many ways. She walked across the room and stood by the dining room buffet. There she is, Gary. Look all you want. Her hand gestured toward the brass urn sitting in the middle of the otherwise empty buffet. It looked like I was too late. I didn't move, just stood and stared at the container before me. Can I have that beer now? Angela moved to Pensacola after giving the baby up for adoption. She bought the trailer with money she got from Winslow Enterprises after she got fired. She had profit sharing, 401ks as well as vacation and sick leave time. She ended up with a job at a local garment factory working in the shipping department. That's where she met Sherry. Sherry rented a room from Angela. Every cent that Angela made went into booze. She started with wine and gradually switched over to the hard stuff. Whatever was the cheapest. She eventually lost her job because of the drinking and was forced to use her savings after that. She never dated or went out. Sherry stayed with her and paid the utilities and bought food, which Angela did not eat. It took her over 3 years to kill herself. Surprisingly, she had a will and left me the double wide and the Volvo. Sherry explained that Angela had become so despondent about what she did that she just gave up. She didn't try to prevent the pregnancy or even abort it. The adoption was arranged months before the baby was even born. She never went back to work, except for menial jobs that she did poorly. Sherry said that Angela seemed to have no ambition and no reason to live. She talked about me a lot, but was afraid to try and contact me. Gloria had actually given her my number, but I never got a call. It was almost as if her one-night affair hurt her more than it did me. I stayed for 2 weeks, and then I sold the trailer to Sherry for $1 and got $1,000 for the Volvo. 2 days later, I was in Westchester, visiting my new friends, David and Marcia. Malcolm Eugene Foote balked at first, but David and Marcia turned the screws until he gave in. He insisted on DNA tests, which proved that he was the father. To save face, he was more or less forced into the bone marrow transplant, which was a success. Malcolm's political career and married life did not seem to fare as well. His drop in the polls was so rapid that the party replaced him with another candidate months before the election. His wife filed for divorce and was very public about it. Right now, Angela and I are on our way to Dallas to see Gloria and my grandkids. I don't know how long I will keep Angela with me. I guess until a better one comes along. Now you may ask as to why I did not file for divorce and why I am still with my cheating wife. Well, for starters, the divorce will take around a year to finalize. As per Angela's medical reports, she does not have more than 4 to 6 months to live. So, it is better to live through it together rather than watch her die in court. I am old. I am broken. I don't see myself starting my life again or falling in love with anyone else. When I married Angela, I promised, till death do us part. I might just see through it and die peacefully that I kept my side of the promise, even though she did not. 3 months later, Angela passed away in hospital. In her last moments, she was holding Gary's hand, and in her last moment, she whispered, "Thank you, Gary." The same words were written on her tombstone, as per her last wish. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.